Good morning, everyone. I'm going to share with you today the Halacha, and it will be based on a question that I received yesterday. The whole point of having the Halacha Yomit is to answer your questions, and I was asked about a famous habit that some people may have, to have coffee during Tefilat Shacharit, before Tefilat Shacharit. Is it allowed? What is the Halacha saying about coffee during Tefillah? So I'm going to split the answer to that question into 3 different points. Point number 1 is, are we allowed to have coffee before Tefillah? So very briefly, we have a lot of opinions about it, but the bottom line is that most opinions, the ones we follow, hold that coffee before Tefillah is allowed, even for someone who's healthy, even with milk and sugar, if the whole point of the coffee is to have chizuk, to have more strength and to pray better. So this is already solved on its own. The number 2 point that I want to relate to is the beracha on the coffee. So there is something very, very important we have to understand. If you say the beracha before tefillah, there is no problem. But you may not say the beracha on the coffee during tefillah. There is absolutely no heter to do so. And that applies from Baruch She'amar until the end of the Amidah. For example, even if someone would go to the bathroom, and he wants to say Asher Yatzar, he cannot say the beracha of Asher Yatzar during tefillah. He's going to have to wait until he finishes the Amidah. Kal v'chomer, how much more so if he wants to say beracha on the coffee that he may not do so during tefillah. Number 3 point is the one that I think is the most relevant and the most important to know. And that is the issue of kavod. You have to understand, we all need to understand, that the concept of kavod, respect, during tefillah is not a good thing to do. It is something that is halachically required. For example, we have a dress code during tefillah that we don't have when it comes to berachot, even Kriyat Shema by itself, Limud HaTorah. The dress code that we have is much more severe. We have to have a separation between the heart and the bottom of part of the body. We have to make sure to wear shoes. We have to look decent as if we would be meeting with the king, because we are actually talking to the king. Also, for example, we have the concept of kavanah during the Shemona Esrei, during the Amidah. As you know, Rabbi Hayoun Mibrisk says that there are 2 main kavanot that a person must have. Number 1 is to understand the words that he is saying, and if he does not understand, if it's too hard, at least, like Shulchan Aruch says, for the first 3 berachot of the Amidah. And number 2 kavanah, and that number 2 is for the whole tefillah, is remember that you are praying to the king, that you are standing in front of the king. So that is again showing that the concept of kavod is part of the halacha itself of tefillah. There is another example. In general, you should know that in Batei Knesset, we are not allowed to eat or drink. In Batei Midrash, which is a place that we study, we are allowed to eat and drink. That shows again the difference, the contrast between tefillah, that is all about kavod, it's all about respect, and for that reason, we have to be very strict when it comes to drinking coffee. I believe, and I think that you would agree with me, that having a coffee in the middle of tefillah at any point is a tremendous amount of disrespect. Disrespect for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, disrespect for the Beit HaKnesset, and it's really lacking the concept of understanding what are we doing here. So I would like to give you a little push to, especially during this time, I heard something very interesting the other day. They said that the virus is called COVID-19. Number 19 is nowhere in our Torah, nowhere in the Halacha, except for the Amidah. The Amidah has 19 berachot. So it's interesting. We have 19 because the Amidah represents the essence of the Tefillah. And kavod, maybe it has to do with it. I am not saying that this is really conclusive, but there is something to it. This is now an opportunity to be mitchazek, to get stronger as we pray, to make sure that we maintain the proper kavod, and we leave the coffee for afterwards, or beforehand, if we have the need to feel more chizuk, to feel more strength, to pray better. May you all have a great day. Stay safe, you and your family, and I will see you B'ezrat Hashem tomorrow.